A step-by-step guide to creating a genogram. A genogram is a tool that helps outline and summarize a person's family information. It looks like a family tree, but it contains more specific aspects of the family connections and has a more technical appearance. The Psychology Department of the University of Barcelona defines genogram as a graphic representation, in the form of a family tree, of the basic information of at least 3 generations of a family. It contains information about the family structure, the demographic data of the members, and their relationship. If you don't know history, you don't know anything. You are a leaf that does not know it is part of a tree. Michael Crichton. We use it to collect and organize information about a person's immediate environment. This information is useful when it comes to medical treatment and education. But everyone can make their own genogram to know themselves better. It is particularly useful for finding patterns, genetic problems, inter- or intragenerational problems, and environment-based behavior patterns. A genogram helps you quickly visualize the way your family structure looks. In many cases, it helps you come up with a theory about the root causes of certain problems. It can be about personality, emotional management, etc. They are also valuable tools for increasing your self-awareness. Steps to create a genogram. You create a genogram in 3 basic steps. General description of family structure. Gathering basic information about a person's family. Description of family relationships. / The structure of the family is the first and most important stage. There is a group of set symbols to indicate these connections. Next, you will add the following data to the family information section. Demographic information, date of birth and death, level of education, dates of marriage and divorce, etc. Information on the functional level, general data on the functionality of the members. Are they functional? To what degree and why? Significant family events. In the third phase, you describe the details of the family relationships. Here you again establish the connections between members. But in this case, you don't worry about the biological or legal connections. You focus on the psychological connections instead. Making a genogram, step by step. To create a genogram from start to finish, follow these steps. Define the purpose of the genogram. The first thing to do is to decide what the purpose of the genogram will be. Of course, they all have to do with information about a person's family history and family environment. But you can use this information in many different ways. Sometimes the data you get is extremely useful to doctors. Family history is also genetic history and helps you visualize inherited physical strengths and weaknesses. Genograms also contain valuable information about recurring or common emotional problems in a family. They can be psychological patterns absorbed and spread through the family environment. There are also times when a genogram has a specific purpose. It's perfect if you ask yourself, where does my depression come from? You can trace a particular condition down through the different generations. In any case, it is important to determine the purpose before starting. Decide on the number of generations you want to analyze. It is important to give yourself a realistic goal. Ideally, you start with 3 generations, but this is not always possible. There are families where a whole generation has disappeared, or they have no contact with some members. There are other cases where contact with other generations happens indirectly. In other words, you can only get information about a family member through what others say about them. This can result in bias. Here it is best to find other sources of information to check the accuracy of what they say. It is best to make a list of live members that you can get in touch with. Next, create a new list of people who can give you information about family members you can't get in touch with. And finally, determine how many generations your genogram will contain. Create a questionnaire to gather information. This is one of the most important steps, and it depends on the purpose you have chosen. This means coming up with questions to get the information you need for your genogram. It should consist of a series of basic questions that elicit demographic data. They should include things like names, dates, birth, death, marriage, divorce, cities, etc. It must also include other things such as social status, level of education, profession, number of children, gender of the children, etc. Then there should be a group of questions that will help you go deeper into the specific details of each family member. For example, diseases they have or have had, pain they have had to deal with, hobbies and interests, important experiences, major conflicts, etc. Finally, create a third group of questions to dig into crucial family events. These are moments of crisis or serious problems shared by several family members. They marked a before and an after in the lives of these family members. You can decide which crucial events to highlight by remembering the purpose of your genogram. Do research in the area. Not all genograms go as deep as others. Some focus on obvious aspects, while others go deeper into one or more aspects. This mainly depends on the direct information you can get. What this step is all about is getting in touch with possible sources of information. It is important to remember that not everyone will talk about their personal history. Therefore, you must first understand that it can be difficult work that will require patience. The best thing to do when you've contacted them is to immediately explain what you're trying to get out of it. In this case, information to make a genogram. To make it go smoothly, it's best to do this over time. This way you can build trust and they will more easily give you information. Collect document-based information. Letters, photos, videos, and other family-related documents will ultimately be very useful. You can find an important piece of information on a card, a contract, or a prescription. Many families have a valuable family album. This is generally where you can find photos of large group events. You can find out a lot about a person when you look patiently at a picture. What emotional climate can you see in a picture? What attitude do they have towards each other? Use standardized symbols. Today there are templates for making genograms. They are pre-made designs that have everything you need to organize the information you collect. There are also computer programs that make it easier. There are also standardized symbols to represent the data. Still, anyone can design their own symbols if they feel the defaults don't look good or work well. Regardless, these are the most commonly used symbols. Men are represented by a square and women by a circle. Marriage is represented by the man's symbol on the left and the woman's symbol on the right, composed of a horizontal line. Two diagonal parallel lines represent a divorce or separation. The children are organized from oldest to youngest, going from left to right. Never lose sight of your genogram's purpose. So if you have to, create specific symbols to represent relevant things. It can be abuse, alcoholism, abortion, suicide, fatal accidents, or any other factor you follow. Make the frame with the connections as your foundation. What kind of relationships exist between family members is always an important piece of information. Therefore, you not only show the connection, you also add some kind of element that indicates its quality. Although only in general terms, it should be enough to create standardized symbols for the representation of relationships that are close, distant, tense and conflicted. And it is also good to have some symbols to represent cases of physical, emotional or sexual abuse. In many cases, you need to add an element to indicate that it is only a suspicion without proof. Analyze the genogram. Analyzing a genogram is a creative and often fascinating thing to do. It starts as an evaluation of how accurate everything is in your visualization. If you are in doubt about any information, it is best to state it or find out if it is true. This first analysis will help you organize the information as clearly and precisely as possible. This effort in precision will pay off when it comes to the next step. Look for patterns. Now you decide if the genogram is valid. All the information you've collected, organized, and represented visually should help you find patterns. In other words, at this time you must be able to see any recurring events, circumstances, or elements. The patterns are the key to understanding it all. Is there a disease that occurs in different family members, and or in the following generations? Are there any dysfunctional behaviors that have been passed down from generation to generation? Why do some family members not fit the pattern? What part of their personal history helped them break it? These and many other questions should be answered after you complete a genogram. It certainly won't have all the information possible, but it will provide valuable clues. Most of all, it will help you understand the reasons for something that is happening now, to see if it served its purpose. Making a genogram is not a mechanical activity and it does not give absolute results. The process may make you rethink the original purpose a few times. Finding an unexpected piece of information can sometimes make you change your focus. It is therefore useful to see if you have met your original goal. Find out if the information you found, organized, and interpreted improves your understanding of the person. Even if a genogram did not completely fulfill its purpose, the process often helps. So it is worth making a final evaluation of the process. Et genogram centelt set et belid affection. Therefore din egen historie. Dieter historie skrevet, for du blef, fdt. Vi trods alt ber et kapitli on historie. Der A genogram is essentially a picture of the path that leads to your own story. It is history written before you were born. After all, we are just a chapter in a story that started a long time ago. All we can hear is the faint hum of time, and all we get to see is a small, interesting glimpse. Bibliography. McGoldrick M. and Gerson, R. 1985. Genograms. Assessment and Intervention. New York, Norton.